everyone, this is Jackie Williams. In this video, I want to showcase the Nature's Sweetness suite, and this is what we call a mega suite because we have two sets of stamps and dies. You can see those in better detail on the following pages there. And then we also have paper and some trim and some cork rounds. Now we're going to use the dies and stamps in this project, but I'll just show you the papers because they're quite beautiful. You've got gold foiling on one side and then a unfoiled print on the other side, and they're all done in gold, whites, grays, and pecan pie. They're all quite beautiful vintage, and I have quite a few samples using these papers that I'll show you at the end. But let's get started with our project for today. So today I actually want to share with you a fun technique of creating a background. And what I've done is created a mask, and I have used the Everyday Detail dies, and I've used this largest rectangle. What's fun about this is it makes dots on the rectangle piece that's cut out, but it also leaves dots behind. So when I mask, the ink is going to go into those dots as well. Now I'm going to deviate from the colors in the suite because I have quite a few samples using those colors, so I wanted to just do something a little bit different. So I'm going to place that mask right over my piece that I'm going to use, and we have the choice to do it this landscape orientation or a portrait orientation. I think I'll do the portrait for this one. And then we just need some Post-it notes or even just some copy paper. They don't even really need to be Post-it notes necessarily. And then I'm just going to tear those. That was fairly straight actually, but you want to make sure that you have adhesive on both sides if you are using Post-it notes. Okay, so I'm just going to put it at an angle because I'm right-handed. It's a little bit easier that way. And I'm just going to use that Post-it note to mask off an area like this. Now I'm going to use the new color, Summer Splash. I think this one is going to be a personal favorite. I've always liked the turquoise type colors. Just pick up some ink. Now I always like to get that first bit of ink off so I don't have a big smear. And then I'm just going to gently put some color, making sure I'm covering those holes as well. And then go back and do a little bit darker right where that masking paper or the Post-it note is. And then pick up the other piece, and I'll do fairly large sections here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put some color in there. And I want to have it darker again at the Post-it note, but lighter here so you still see that line. So you don't want too heavy of ink. And then you're just going to continue on that pattern. And when I remove that mask, I should have this fun background, and then I have that added detail of the dots. And some of them came out lighter and darker than others, and I'm okay with that. Okay, then I'm just going to mat this onto a piece of basic black. And this piece of cardstock, the white one, is 3 5/8 inches by 5 inches. And then the black is just slightly larger at 5 1/8 by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, now, so I've done it so it orients this way. You could do it that way, but I like this, the lines going horizontally. Actually, before I put that on the card base, we'll go ahead and do our flower. I have stamped in black this large, we decided this was a coffee bean, but if you think it's not a coffee bean and you know what it is, please leave a comment for me. So I've stamped that in Memento Black and then just colored it in with Stampin' Blends. So I've got one already here for you. And then you can just decide where you want to position that. I think I like it best down here in the corner. You can also position it to cover any spots maybe that you weren't very happy with. And then I would like to use the Comforting Thoughts stamp set to add a word. Now, I could stamp that right here in the blue or down here. If it's down here, I need it to be a fairly short word. So maybe I'll just put that "I'm here for you" down here at the bottom. I'll also do that in Memento Black. I know probably most of the time we make cards for birthdays or thank yous, but it is nice to have some comfort words or sympathy words in your stash. And this is a nice set that has quite a few situations covered. Now, before we put this on our card front, let's just create a little bit of interest in the background. So I've got just some scrap pieces from the Meandering Meadow papers, and I like to use my scrap pieces like this. I actually do it fairly often. I think I'll just put one up at the top here and then one down here at the bottom. And then I'll also add some of the dotted burlap trim. This is actually from the latte bundle, but it certainly can work in with other images as well. I'm just going to use some very small pieces and cut those at an angle. And I'm not actually going to use the dotted side. I'll use the other side, maybe just like that. So it's just hanging off just by a small bit. You want to use glue dots or tape. And then we'll go ahead and put this onto the card front with dimensionals. So we're actually just seeing a tiny bit of that paper and a tiny bit of the burlap. And then it just needs one more thing. I want to have some centers on those flowers. I'll use the larger ones. And these are brand new, these embellishments. Actually, I think they're not available until the new catalog in May, but they're called adhesive backed dots for days. Very useful colors. I particularly like to have yellow dots just for flower centers. They're very versatile that way. And then if you want to, you can use your Stampin' Write markers or your Stampin' Blends or a water painter and just add a little bit of ink splashed on there. I quite like that. I don't know how well you can see that in the camera, but it just adds a little something, fills in some white space. And there you go. I hope you like it. Now I've got some other versions to share with you. So first I started out with this version that didn't involve any cutting or any coloring. So just did a multicolored background and then just added the flowers over top and a few gems. So very simple. So if you are someone who doesn't enjoy coloring, then you could just do it like this. And here's another version of basically this same card, just oriented it differently. And this time I splattered some water droplets in the background just to add a little bit of interest there. And then this version is just slightly different. I actually didn't cut out the flower at all, but did it like this, but then colored it and then stamped it on the underneath layer as well. So you've got some colored and uncolored bits. And then I also put the label up, or put the words up on a label. And also different for this one, I did Lost Lagoon, Summer Splash, and then Pool Party. So you've got some variation of colors in there. Which one of those do you like best? Okay, now let me share with you some other samples. So this is one that I created for my artisan assignment, and this is a blended background similar to what we did, but I didn't use additional masks. I just blended it through a circle and then stamped and then watercolored on just the smaller leaf. They also have this cool die in there that's fun for scrapbooking too. And that one was another one using the coffee bean plant. And this time I've watercolored it rather than coloring with blends. And used the color combination in the suite and added in those cork rounds. And those are quite fun. They add a nice texture, as well as the twine. It's a little less feminine than ribbon, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. So it's interesting. It's a nice twine. And then here is another one using that large coffee plant. This time actually blending color onto those papers. There's some white prints with gold foiling that you can just add some color to it and make it then work with any color palette that you want to use. So this time I added in some purple. Oh, sorry. And then this one is the same card, but used Coastal Cabana with this one. And then this card I actually didn't make. This one was made by my team member Delwyn Horner, and this was part of a team swap that we did. And then this project was designed and taught by Sally Williams and Leslie Scott at one of our recent extravaganza events. So using the smaller dies and some of the papers and that wonderful twine again. And then this one was designed by Sally Williams and shared at a team retreat. And also this one by Sally Williams, also from a team retreat. This one, I believe, was cased from another demonstrator, but it's quite a little bit different, stamping the gold onto colored cardstock and then coloring in with the white ink and then the darker ink on the flowers in the same color. So that was quite a sophisticated effect. So there you go. I hope that gives you lots of ideas with the Nature's Sweetness suite. And if you would like even more ideas, the All-Star Design team has prepared a video class using this suite featuring 12 projects, complete with cutting measurements and everything. So look for that link in the description. Leave me a comment and share this video with your friends. Thanks so much for joining me. This is Jackie Williams. See you next video. Bye-bye.